Preface. I met my spiritual teacher when I was 39. At the time, I was a fiery feminist fighting the patriarchy. An old male sage was the last person I expected to sit at the feet of. But when the heart opens, there's no defense against the power of love. For me, he was the one place of pure love on the planet, so I moved to be near him. When he died, my heart split wide open with a painful longing I'd never felt before. 5 days after his death, I had a dream that presaged the journey I would have to make in order to return to that love. Here's the dream. I arrive at the place where my teacher used to live. It's where he had his self-realization. Everywhere I look, I see lush green. The atmosphere is misty and otherworldly, serene, silent, timeless. There's nothing man-made here. No houses, no skyline, no people, no traffic, no noise, no roads. All is quiet. Peace prevails. Looking around, I see no path and wonder, how will I find my teacher's house? An old woman sits in front of her hut on the banks of a wide, gently moving river. She appears to be a shopkeeper, but there's no one around to buy her goods. I realize she's there as a signpost, a guide. As in the legend of the Holy Grail, she reveals the answer only to those who ask the right question. To all others, she's just a shopkeeper sitting in front of her hut. The old woman knows exactly what I mean when I ask, how do I find the way to his house? She points across the river and says, use the stepping stones to cross over. Once you reach the other side, you'll see the lane that leads to his house. Following this guidance, I cross the water and I arrive at the other side. Through the mist, I see a narrow lane. Grass grows from the center of it and fir trees line the sides. It's a picturesque scene. I stand there, mesmerized by the simple beauty. This is the path that leads to my teacher's house. It seems few people have been here. Who would even know it exists? It's not on any map or in any book. The atmosphere is mystical, totally ordinary, yet totally rarefied. It's the feeling of being on my own journey now, poised on the path that leads to love. End of dream. This is the journey of every lover, to discover that the love we seek is within. My teacher often said, the self of the teacher and that of the student are one and the same. 2 years before he died, this book was conceived. Now I see it was a gift to me to help me find my way back to him from the sea of separation. As in the dream, each encounter in this book was a stepping stone that helped me cross the waters of grief, doubt, and loneliness. I had to trust an inner guidance, imaged as the old woman in the hut. It took me years to arrive at the right question. Without the right question, there can be no right answer. I asked her, how do I find my teacher's house? The answer was to go inward. As depicted in my dream, the inner world is lush green, serene, a paradise so familiar, yet invisible to those with no eyes to see it. The lane hidden in the heart of the forest leads to the house of the teacher. The teacher is featureless and formless, says the Sufi. The outer teacher points us to the teacher, which is not a person, but the inner self, a place within, the essence of pure love, that which we truly are, the face before we were born. As Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. One night, about a year after my teacher's death, I couldn't sleep and took my pain into prayer. Inside myself, I heard him say, in his Zen-like style, "It's time to get over it. You've grieved long enough. I never left you. What I am, you are. That never dies." His lineage is an inner pathway, he often said. Love is both the means and the end. Before his passing, we went over the people to be interviewed for this book, and he verified their capacity to transmit love through these pages. They have lived the message of the book. As in the dream, each of them is a stepping stone for anyone who wishes to understand and embody love. Love is not what you do. Love is what you are, said Sadhguru. These guides are their message. My teacher confirmed them to be so. In their diversity, we see that love comes in many forms, walks of life, and spiritual expressions. Over the years, I journeyed to meet them and tried my best to live according to the teachings they imparted. In the end, I am solely responsible for the sense I made of what was given to me, and the place I ended up might surprise them. Any errors surely lie with the student and not her guides. Love has taken me to places that others may deem mistaken, but I was told to be true to the light I knew, and more would be given. I follow the religion of love. Whatever way love's camels take, that is my religion and my faith. So wrote the 13th century's Sufi mystic Ibn Arabi. And that's the religion I have followed to the best of my ability. Often the visits with those I interviewed were painful because their lovingness rekindled the longing for my teacher's physical presence. When I visited their meditation meetings or attended their retreats, I would weep. As loving and gracious as they were, these guides could not replace what I had lost. I had to find that within myself. My teacher taught me it's possible to survive the loss of what we love because its source is within us. Love is a substance that purifies everything in its path, much like volcanic lava that melts every obstacle as it rolls relentlessly down the mountain. Love melted much of what I thought I was. It didn't allow me, for example, to stay in the beautiful little town where my teacher lived. When I moved there to be near him, I thought, oh, finally, I've moved to the place where I will die. I can be settled for the first time in my life. I'll always be close to his house and his remains. As someone who had moved 35 times in 43 years, I was relieved to be putting down roots. Yet as soon as he passed, I had to leave. He appeared to me in a dream and showed my soul at a crossroads. Here's the dream. My teacher has come back to life and guided me to a crossroads. I'm sitting in the center, the place where the 4 roads intersect, and I'm weeping. The paved road to the right goes to his house and his remains. To the left is a dusty path to the unknown. I know I have to go left, into the unknown. The words are crystal clear. It's time for you to leave and become the teachings that you've been given. Waking from this dream, I knew I had to go left. In esoteric terms, left means inward, into the unconscious, into the depths. In other words, to unite with my teacher's spirit, I had to go in the opposite direction from his physical remains. I had wanted to hang on to his relics, his home, his wife, his animals, everything associated with him. But I had to let go of what felt most dear to me and drop into my own depths. I had to give up the attachment to what he is not, his physical attributes, to realize the truth of what he is, a universal spirit. The only way I would ever truly be with him was to connect to the eternal part of myself that was the state he inhabited. And that was the love. His death taught me that the teacher is not a body, but the energy of love itself. Love requires the letting go of attachment to all external objects, substances, and landmarks. People, places, and things are the avenues of experiencing love, not its source. My teacher wrote, "The high state which people seek, by whatever means, is in fact the experience field of their own consciousness. If they are spiritually unsophisticated and lack a context with which to comprehend their experience, they believe it's created from something out there, such as a guru, music, drugs, lover, and so forth. All that has actually happened is that under certain circumstances, they have experienced their own inner reality. That this joyous, peaceful, fulfilling state is really one's own inner essence has been the basic tenet of every great spiritual teacher. For example, the kingdom of God is within you." By vocation, I'm a professor. By necessity, I became a student. Unexpectedly, this life became a training in love. It's not a course I remember signing up for, but it's the course that life required of me. The only thing I had to do was say yes to the love that came my way. Saying yes wasn't always easy. Each yes led to an unraveling of my life as I knew it. For love presented itself in ways I didn't expect or want. This has been the cosmic trick of my life. Whatever I rejected, love came to me in that form, forcing me to leave behind limits in my loving and to embrace what I had thought unlovable. I'm a traveler on the path of love, not an expert. What traveler arrives at her destination without making a few wrong turns? I feel strange writing a book about love when I'm a struggling and imperfect example of it. But I wasn't allowed to not write this book. My teacher told me, what you've been given is not for yourself alone. Pass it on. Many times I wanted to give up, but devotion to my teacher and the support of loving friends kept the book alive. Especially, I didn't want to write about my mistakes on the path of love. But walking in the woods one day, this is what I heard. Sometimes a wound serves me, capital M, better than a resolution of it. Your mistakes opened your heart to love. Now, this was not an audible voice. It was more like an inner dialogue with the higher self, or love, capital L, itself. I heard this. I need you to write your story of longing, of making mistakes and finding your way again. Back to me, capital M. Readers will see I make good use of mistakes. And the dialogue went on, like this. I asked, well, hey, isn't it enough for the book to contain the wisdom of these great teachers? Oh no, it's best for the book to include many different notes of love. A beautiful symphony requires the lower tones as well as the higher. The teachers you interview are no longer caught like you are in the pain and struggles of their ego life. They serve me, capital M, in their way. You serve me in your way. And I protested. I said, I don't like writing about my mistakes and all my doubts. And this is what I heard. Readers need something they can relate to. They need to hear from someone who loses a job, falls in love with the wrong person, struggles with doubts, selfishness, addiction, and grief, and who nonetheless knows that love is real and keeps saying yes to love. I protested, but my light is not very bright. I have given you enough light so that your light recognizes those who serve me. The world needs many different degrees of light, including yours. And so I said yes. Rumi wrote, the wound is the place where the light enters in. The same principle reverberates throughout many spiritual traditions. In Native American beadwork and weaving, the artist makes an intentional flaw to acknowledge that all human effort is imperfect. As one Navajo weaver told me, pointing to the flaw in the blanket, this is the gate where the Great Spirit enters. That weaver's words have stayed with me. Whenever I sleep under the Navajo blanket my father gave me, I hold the corner with the flaw next to my cheek so I can feel it in the night and remember the Creator is with me. My father also gave me a hand-woven antique Persian rug made in Iran. Often when I walk on it, I'm reminded of the Persian weavers who purposefully make an imperfect stitch out of respect for divinity. Only Allah is perfect, they say. In Japan, kintsugi artists use gold to fill in the cracks of broken pottery, thus transforming brokenness into wholeness. In all these ways, human imperfection is viewed not as a sin or impediment, but as a gateway for grace. My teacher said, every defect contains a hidden treasure, and all supposed defects are doorways. The book you hold in your hands was written by an individual forced by certain life events to travel the path of love. She made mistakes along the way, but over and over again, the broken pieces were put back together by gold. She had the grace to encounter those whom we call enlightened, self-realized, highly conscious, spiritual teachers, visionaries, exemplars of unconditional love. They differ from us not because they possess more inner light, but because they live from it. Love resides in the hearts of all, yet few are those who live in alignment with its power. It is the power of love, and it alone, that has the capacity to heal the wounds in our world. So here we are. We stand before a little lane hidden in the heart of a misty forest. It is autumn, and the leaves are about to turn.